Hey guys, so today I'm going to be talking about the books that I read in September. I actually was going to film this like early on in October, but then I went to Korea and that trip was kind of last minute, so I didn't know I was going until like the middle of September, so I just didn't have time to film it before I left. But I'm back in Sydney now, so I'm going to finally talk about the books that I read in September. And I read 9 books, and I read 2 really highly anticipated releases. So yes, let's just get into them. So the first book that I read was House of Sultans Sorrows by Erin A. Craig, and this is the Alcrate exclusive edition. And yeah, I did receive this in the Alcrate box, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna read it. I'd heard really good things about it, and I was just really in the mood to read it. This is basically a standalone YA fantasy, and it is a retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses fairy tale, which when I said that I had actually never heard of that fairy tale, everyone was so shook. But yeah, I just hadn't I hadn't seen the Barbie movie. Apparently that's how everyone knows. I don't think I've ever seen a Barbie movie. If you think I should watch one, let me know. So yeah, in this book there were originally 12 sisters living with their dad and stepmom in a manor by the sea, but 4 of the sisters die in mysterious and gruesome ways, and everyone says that the family is cursed, but our main character Annalie says that no, the family isn't cursed, her sisters are actually getting murdered. So yeah, that just sounded so intriguing, and I was really loving it at the beginning. I was so into it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is 100% going to be like a 4 or 5 star read. But as I kept reading, I just felt myself slowly losing interest. It was definitely pretty slow at times, and I just felt like it was dragging, and I was like, okay, I'm over it. I just want it to be over. Also, there were so many sisters, and I feel like the characterization wasn't the best for all of them. I didn't really know each individual sister properly. Like, they kind of blended together except for like 2 characters. Obviously the main character Annalie, and there was another younger sister that I really liked, but I actually forgot her name. But yeah, everyone else just kind of felt like the same person. I did love the writing and the atmosphere. It definitely has like a spooky, eerie vibe, and I just loved the setting. Like, I loved the manor set by the sea. I just loved that whole aspect, and it definitely was super fun at times, and it does have some horror elements, so there were some pretty spooky scenes. I personally didn't get too scared, but I loved those horror elements. There is also a romance, which I didn't really care for. So yeah, I enjoyed it, but I feel like it had so much more potential, and I do want to say that maybe I would have enjoyed it more if I wasn't in a reading slump. I was in like a reading slump at this stage, so I listened to the audiobook and I was sort of forcing myself through it. So yeah, that definitely could have impacted my experience reading this book. I might reread this in a few years because I do really love a lot of the aspects in this book, and hopefully I'll enjoy it more then. But yeah, so for now I think I gave this a 2.5 out of 5 stars. It's not super memorable for me, and I didn't have the best experience reading it, but I did enjoy aspects, so yeah. So the next book that I read was Kikis Delivery Service, the picture book, and yeah, this is basically the Studio Ghibli film, my favourite film, in picture book form. Obviously it was super short and amazing, and I just absolutely loved it. I actually did learn a few things that were not really clearly stated in the movie. For example, I didn't know Gigi and Kiki were the exact same age. Maybe it is said in the movie, but I don't think they ever say that. Anyway, I just really loved reading this. It was so much fun, and I read this with the movie playing in the background, and it was just amazing. I was just filmed with so much warmth and love because I just love this story so much. So yeah, this was 100% a 5 out of 5 star read, and I'm so happy to own this edition too because it's just obviously stunning. Oh my gosh, it's hot. I'm honestly so scared to start filming in the summer because it's getting hotter now. Oh my gosh. The next book that I read was Ninth House by Levi Dugo, which is out now. This is the art copy, and this took me so long to read. If you watched that vlog, then I talked about it. It took me like a month to read this, and I was in the middle of a reading slump while reading this, that's why. This is not the book to read if you're in a reading slump, because it's definitely super slow. If you don't know, this is Levi Dugo's first adult novel, and I was super looking forward to it. I just love Levi Dugo, I love her writing, and this sounded like it was going to be amazing. And in the vlog I did say I gave it a 4 stars, but I think I was subconsciously not wanting to accept that it wasn't a 4-star read because it definitely wasn't. I didn't love it. Like, I did like it, but I was definitely let down, and there were definitely points where I struggled in the book when reading it. So I changed my Goodreads review to 3.5 stars, but it's definitely more of like a 3. So I definitely still liked it, but yeah, it was a struggle at times because I just feel like it was super slow at times. The pacing was super off for me. It would be like super slow and then something would happen and then super slow again. So I didn't love that. There were a lot of aspects that I did did love. Like, I love the main character Alex, I loved the setting at Yale, I loved the paranormal elements with the ghosts and stuff, I loved the themes that it tackles. It really delves into privilege, which I really appreciated, and there are a lot of good quotes in this book. So yeah, I have like mixed feelings towards this book, but overall I did like it. I was just disappointed because I was expecting this to be like a 5 out of 5 star read, but I am super looking forward to the second book because the way that this ended, it's definitely set up for a potentially amazing second book because yeah, like I said, it was pretty slow just with the world building and everything. Hopefully in the second book the pacing will have improved a lot, and yeah, so I am super excited for the second book. I think it has the ability to be a 5 out of 5 star read. So yes, unfortunately this was a bit of a letdown, but I'm still so thankful to have read it, so thank you so much to Hachette for gifting me this copy. And everyone is talking about this book, but if you don't know, there are a lot of content warnings, so please just know that this is an adult book that deals with a lot of dark themes before you read it, and definitely look up all the content warnings because there are a lot. But yeah, so 3 out of 5 stars. Yeah. The next book that I read was this manga, Waiting for Spring Volume 6, written by Anna Shin. And this series, I've mentioned it in the vlog, I feel like I just say the same thing about every volume. Nearly every volume I've given 4 stars. I like and dislike the same thing in every volume. I love the characters, I just love how fun it is, I love the basketball element, but I absolutely hate one character who I think we're supposed to like, and I just find him super annoying, and yeah, he pisses me off in every volume. That's why I can't be a 5 out of 5 star read, because that one character. Throughout, there's like little notes from the author saying like thanks for your support and stuff like that, and the author said how there was a poll on Twitter or something, and that character that I hate is the second most popular character, and I was like, oh my goodness. I thought everyone hated him, so I was concerned. But anyway. Yeah, so 4 out of 5 stars. If you read this series, I would love to know if you know the character that I hate, because yeah, I mean, he's so annoying, literally. He doesn't take no for an answer, and he thinks it's cool to do that. No. No means no, okay? Anyway, so yes, 4 out of 5 stars. Still love this. Then I reread Carry On by Rainbow Rowell, which is one of my favourite books. It just makes me so incredibly happy. I had the best time rereading it, and I reread it because of Wayward Son coming out, which I did read, so I'll talk about that soon. But yeah, so I just had the best time. As you can see, most of my tabs are pink and purple, and pink means love, purple means hilarious. So there are just so many happy and good moments in this book, and I just absolutely love the characters of Simon and Baz so much, and Penelope. If you don't know, this is basically a satire of the Chosen One trope, so it's basically like a retelling of Harry Potter. So Simon is like the Harry character, Baz is like the Draco character, so it's basically Drury fanfic, and then we have Penelope who's like the minor character. Anyway, for me, part of the fun is like seeing the parallels between Harry Potter and Carry On, even though I know that some people hate how similar it is. Even though of course they're definitely similar, it is also its own unique story. Like, you forget that, well, I personally forget that it's like Harry Potter once you get into the story, because yeah, even though it is set at a magical boarding school, stuff like that, it's definitely unique, and it's just super fun, and I just have so much fun reading this book. So I think this was my 3rd time reading it, and I gave it 5 stars again. But yeah, we'll talk about Wayward Son soon. The next book that I read was Opposite of Always by Justin A. Reynolds, and this is YA Contemporary, and this was so much fun. It's basically a love story, and it's about a main character who is stuck in a time loop, and I just love stories where characters are stuck in a time loop. It was a really quick read and super enjoyable, but also super emotional, and I just really fell in love with the characters and everything. I ended up listening to the audiobook for this, and the audiobook was phenomenal, so 100% recommend listening to the audiobook. I absolutely adored Justin A. Reynolds' writing style. I actually need to see if he has any other books, because yeah, I just really fell in love with the writing style. It was just so fun and light and playful, and this is Own Voices for the Black representation, by the way. There's also amazing friendships, and I loved the focus on friendship, not just the romance. And I really just loved the message of this book. I don't really want to give it away because I feel like it's kind of a spoiler, but once you read it you'll appreciate it, hopefully. So yeah, I definitely recommend this book. It was just so good and so much fun, and I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars, and yeah, 100% recommend it because I feel like not many people have read it, but it's just so much fun, so read it. Okay, now we're up to the book that I'm honestly scared to talk about. That is Wayward Son by Rainbow Rowell. So this was one of my most anticipated books of all time. When I read Carry On a few years ago, I just fell in love, and there was no announcement for a sequel or anything. I thought it was going to be standalone, and I always wanted more, so when the sequel was announced, I was so freaking excited. One of my book dreams have come true. So yeah, I've been looking forward to this book for a super long time, and I definitely had super high expectations. Yeah, the reason I'm scared to talk about my feelings about this book is, well, I didn't like it. Okay, yeah, I didn't hate it, but I definitely didn't like it. Like, there were definitely some good moments and some things that I did like about it, but overall I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars, which makes me so sad. And I'm scared to talk about my reasons why I don't like it because I feel like some people might be angry because obviously everyone has their own expectations when they read a book, and I had certain expectations for Wayward Son, and this was very different to what I expected it to be. And I don't want people to be like, you know, just because it wasn't what you expected it to be doesn't mean it's a bad book. Some people really loved this, but I just didn't. So when I talk about Carry On, I always talk about how it makes me so happy, and it is one of the books that make me the happiest when I read it. It's just so hilarious, it's fun, it's light, it's playful, it's like a satire, like I said. It just has that like non-serious vibe. So Wayward Son, I thought it was just going to be a fun road trip book. I was kind of purposefully not reading the synopsis because I just wanted to go in because I knew I was going to 100% read it. So yeah, I didn't really read too much into the synopsis. I just knew that they were going to America and they were going on a road trip, so I thought it was just going to be like a fun sequel. And it's definitely not that. It's definitely way more serious. The tone has definitely changed a lot in Wayward Son because it's basically about what comes after the happily ever after and how it doesn't always mean that the characters are still happy. So the characters are definitely going through a lot in this book. The tone is definitely more melancholy and more serious. And for me, it was just too much of a shock because I just didn't take the first book too seriously. Obviously, I love the characters and everything, but it's hard for, I don't know, it's hard for me to talk about it. Yeah, basically, I obviously appreciate what Rainbow Rowell was going for with this book. Like, I think it's a cool idea, but for me, I just didn't find it as enjoyable because it was just super sad and I was expecting it to be super happy. Like, so many elements that I love about Carry On were just not present in this book. So while we still have the amazing characters, there definitely weren't as many amazing moments, and the antagonist that is introduced, I didn't find it that interesting. Yeah, so obviously I understand that it's realistic for the characters to be going through these things because of all the trauma that they've experienced. So I'm not trying to invalidate that. I obviously understand that, but just for me, I personally thought this series was just more like a fun, lighthearted series. So while I do obviously love when those topics are discussed, I just... Okay, I don't even know how to talk about this book. Basically, I just didn't really enjoy it. I was just reading it like this. It didn't have that same spark for me. Like with Carry On, I'm like, you know, I have that feeling. I didn't have that feeling while reading Wayward Son. There were not many pages that I wanted to annotate. I wasn't screaming at anything, like, you know, I just wasn't super invested. It was just too jarring for me because of how different it is, which obviously, you know, it's a different book, but anyway, I just feel like it's hard for me to fully articulate my thoughts, but hopefully you kind of understand what I'm trying to say. So if you love this book, I'm obviously so happy for you, but it just didn't work for me and I'm really upset about it, but it's okay, I've accepted it. There is a third book coming out. Rainbow Rowell has officially announced it, so I probably am going to read that, but for now I'm going to look at Carry On as a standalone. But yeah, so I am really thankful to Powder Villain for sending me this copy. I did get to read it a bit early because they sent this to me, so obviously I'm super appreciative for that. But yeah, so let's move on. Okay, now we can move on to a 5-star read, and that was Stargazing by Jen Wang. And so this is a graphic novel written by Jen Wang, who also wrote The Prince and the Dressmaker, which is another graphic novel that I loved and read and gave 5 stars. So I picked this graphic novel up at Book Expo and it is out now, so you can pick it up and read it for yourself. Yeah, I am so glad that I read this and I actually loved it even more than The Prince and the Dressmaker. Yeah, it was everything. It's basically a middle grade graphic novel and it's about Moon and Christine, who develop an unlikely friendship once Moon's family lives next door to Christine. So they're very different characters. Moon is super outgoing, doesn't have strict parents, can really express herself, but Christine has pretty strict parents. She's definitely more reserved, and Moon kind of helps her get out of her shell and express herself more, and they dance to K-pop and paint their nails. It's so cute. I just love their friendship so much. So yeah, it was just so cute and heartwarming. I was on the verge of tears because of how cute it was, and I just adored the art style. I do want to buy the finished copy because the finished copy is in full colour, so I think it's going to be stunning. I loved the exploration of identity. I just loved everything about this. It was stunning. I'm definitely going to reread it in the future. It just made me so happy and I just thought it was, yeah, 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. And Jen Wang is definitely one of my new favourite graphic novel writers. I can't wait to read more of Jen Wang's work. And finally, I decided to pick up this picture book, Fly by Jess McKeegan. This literally took me like 5 minutes to read. Near the end of September, I was really stressed out packing and getting everything ready before I went to Korea, but I really just wanted to quickly pick something up, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna quickly read this like take a break, 5-minute break, and read this. And it was so adorable. I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5 stars. It's basically a children's picture book. I'll just show you one page so you get a vibe of the illustration style. It's definitely absolutely stunning. So it's about this little girl Lucy and her dad, and Lucy lost her mum. So it deals with grief in a really amazing way, and I just think it was so cute. So definitely recommend this if you're into picture books, or to people in your life who like picture books, like little kids, I don't know. It's just super cute. And Penguin Random House did send this to me, so thank you so much to them. Okay, so those are all the books that I read in September. I would love to know your opinions on any of the books that I read, / any standout books you read in September. So yes, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're having a good day or night, and I'll see you in my next one.